Deutsche Bank, one of leading foreign banks in Russia, predicts the equity boom in this country in 2011. For more on his views, I'm joined now by the chairman of Deutsche Bank in Russia, Jörg Bongertz. Jörg, why do you believe equity market underperformed in 2010, many say, so why do you believe in the reversal in 2011?
Look, Yuri, we had already quite an impressive rally over the last few months, starting actually after the summer, and we do expect that this trend will continue. The drivers for this are largely, you mentioned it already, quite an undervaluation of the Russian assets in comparison with similar markets globally. At the same time, we see a strong growth momentum coming up here in Russia. We had a relatively okay growth this year with roughly 4%. We predict more next year. We expect Russian GDP to grow by 5%. We see a stable, slightly appreciating tendency of the ruble, so the currency is actually in good shape as well. And we see at the moment, a relatively favorable macroeconomic environment, which leads to stable and slightly growing commodity price, which is for Russia a very essential part of the game.
The GDP growth is disappointing to many. The ruble is disappointingly weak. Inflation is disappointing. So what is so exciting about 2011? You say that there is a lot of momentum, but what about risks? What are your clients telling you? What are they concerned most in Russia?
Yeah, let me first give you a little bit of a more global view. I guess investors are now again focusing on the positive aspects in the Russian story, right? I mean, if you compare, for example, Russia to many other emerging markets, Russia is the one which has, for example, not imposed any capital control. So this is one of the very liberal, even most liberal financial markets in the world, which I think has to be underlined and has probably been underestimated. What I'm hearing from clients, we are a corporate investment bank here in Russia, and we are focusing on big Russian corporates. They all have resumed and expanded their investment programs. We are discussing a lot of interesting financing opportunities with them. So the industry as such is preparing for growth going forward. At the same time, we see interesting aspects also coming up again, for example, in the infrastructure space, right? Interesting infrastructure programs on a federal level, but also municipal level are picking up again. We are advising on some of them, we are financing others, and this has an impact on growth as well, apart from the still intact commodity story.
One of investors' darlings here in Russia was debt. Do you think that equity will be more attractive than debt next year?
Well, the debt story is a stable one at the moment, right? However, you have to see that rates came down substantially, so in that sense, debt became less attractive than before. Equity, the growth momentum and growth expectations we see here is actually a very interesting one. So I expect equity really to get much more into focus than the last year.
How big is political risk here in Russia in 2011, bearing in mind that this is a pre-election year?
We are experiencing a phase of substantial political stability, and I do not expect any surprises really and any growing concern over political risk over the next.
At all? You mean that investors at all are not concerned about?
Oh, this is, as in all election periods, this is obviously something that investors will have a look at. But at the same time, experience has shown that after the elections here in Russia and in many other markets as well, the markets rallied. So I'm actually looking quite optimistic at the elections event as such.